Hey, and thank you for joining us on Operation Agency Freedom, where we are bringing you top secret advice from the world's most badass digital agency owners. These amazing men and women are sharing their stories of how they have built 6, 7, and 8-figure digital agencies and how you can too. My name is Chris Martinez, CEO of Dude, where we help digital agencies by giving them the people and the processes so that they can take on more website and funnel projects and help them scale profitably. Today, I am joined by my friend, Shaina Weisinger. Did I get that right?
You did.
It's the last name. I don't know why. I have like a mental block. I
was waiting for it.
I know. Well, she's the CEO and founder of Repurpose House. Awesome service. And welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And I'm glad that, we're laughing at the beginning of the show because that just like sets the tone.
Right.
It doesn't have to be serious. It's not like 60 minutes or anything like that.
Yeah, I rarely can do these things serious. So, I don't know that you had an option.
So how you been? How's life in Phoenix?
I've been really good. Yeah, Phoenix is great. I mean, it's like 72 degrees outside. It's January, so I can't complain whatsoever.
It's actually, I think it's going to be 77 here. So
Holy
it's one of those rare moments where we're warmer here in Cal. Yeah. So.
Right.
Well, let's talk about one of my favorite topics for our roundtable discussion. You and I are both dog lovers. We recently just got a puppy. So we've got I think she's got to be like 12 weeks, golden retriever.
Oh my God.
Her name is Nona.
Nona.
So I had a golden retriever named Nola, and she died in 2017. Oh. And then my now fiance has had a golden retriever whose name was Nala. And then unfortunately back in October, was it September or October? And anyways, Nala got cancer and she died too.
Oh my
So then just this past December, we decided, it's time to get another dog. So we got we got a golden retriever puppy and we combined the names. So we had Nona.
Nona, that's cute.
You're a dog lover too. So let's hear about your dog.
I am. I have two. Oh my gosh. I've got two dogs. They're both huge and the biggest babies on the planet. One came from like my husband had his dog and then I had my dog. And then we all came together as a happy family when we joined forces, if you will. But my big baby, he's a Ridgeback mix. So
nice.
he's big. Yeah, he's real skinny, very tall, but definitely Ridgeback. And he's afraid of everything from plastic bags to, noises. And they were bred to hunt lions.
Exactly. That's
South
the ironic
Africa.
part.
So I'm like, get out of here. But he's the biggest baby ever. And then Truman, that was Duke. And Truman is a pit boxer mix. And he is the sweetest thing ever.
So does he look more pit or does he look more boxer?
He looks a little more pit, but he doesn't have the jowly face. His face is a lot smaller and more boxer-ish, like with the nose and all that. But yeah, he's a pit when you look at him for sure.
So when you guys came together and you created this blended family of dogs, was it actually a smooth transition or was there a little bit of, like territorial type of dog stuff going on?
It wasn't bad. So Duke is a rescue and he is like just skittish in general. Everything, like I said, everything terrifies him. But we introduced him at the dog park. So it wasn't too bad. They got to run around a little bit in like a neutral territory, if you will. Dan, I told him, I'm like, he doesn't really like men, so don't be offended. Dan brought a pocket full of treats, my husband.
Oh, nice.
So they got along smashingly from the get-go.
Yeah.
And then once we started introducing them like inside the house and stuff, they were fine. They're great. It's funny because Duke is like super, super high energy from the second his eyeballs open. And Truman is the opposite. And so sometimes it causes problems, but most of the time it's like they even each other out a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I guess the next question is that at what point in your relationship did you decide, hey, we need our dogs to meet?
It was pretty early. Well, Dan and I we've been on and off for like 12 years. So this time it was like, we knew we were like, let's do this for real this time. So it was pretty immediate because we knew we were going to be spending a ton of time together.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing that you think, well, to us, it's not crazy, but maybe to the outside world who's not dog lovers, what's like the craziest thing you've done for your dogs?
Oh my God. Well, my dog has had surgery so many times. He like broke tore his doggy ACL.
Oh man. I know I know a dog that did that.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so like he had to go in and have that done. And then like the plate that was in there was causing problems. So he had to go, we basically had to have it done twice is what it was. I was told. He's
Wow.
got this weird thing where like his teeth are and his nails are super brittle. So he has cracked all of his canines on flip-flops. So we've had surgery to get those removed. The dog has had like more surgery than any dog ever should have, and I will continuously pay for it because he is the love of my life. Don't tell my husband. So.
Oh, no, you don't have to apologize for anything. I get it.
Yeah, some people think that's crazy that like, okay, how much are we going to spend on the dog? But it doesn't. There's an unlimited amount of funds available to make sure that that dog is alive and healthy.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we just do like birthday parties but like our dog is like our baby. And like my first dog, Nola, who died 2 years ago, I raised her since she was a puppy, 7 weeks old. I drove to a breeder and like spent like 3 hours trying to find the perfect puppy. And then this was just, the one that I was like, okay, this is the one that's coming home. And so I remember I put her in the back seat of my car at a car back then. And while I'm driving, she crawls up and gets into my lap and sleeps in my lap the whole way home. And I was just like,
oh gosh.
Yeah, this is my dog. I'm so happy. Yeah. So it was, I mean, she was my best friend through, good times and bad from that. I got her in 2008. No, 2007.
Wow.
So yeah, it was
10 years. Holy
10
cow.
years. She died on her 10th birthday too.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, her stomach flipped. It was for like her stomach flipped like 6 months earlier, and then she had the surgery and they were able to save her. But then the vet was like, every day from here is basically a gift. So on her 10th birthday, well, our birthday tradition for she and I was we would always go to the beach here in Ocean Beach in San Diego because they have a big dog beach there. And we would go swim. There was like this part. She loved to chase the ball and she loved to swim. And so we went and did that. And then I got home and her stomach flipped again. And then that was it. There was like, there's nothing we could do.
Yeah.
But it was kind of, it was okay. It was easier to handle because she and I had such an amazing final day, like doing the favorite thing that she liked to do. So yeah, no, I mean, every dog lover, like we all understand each other. Maybe that's why you and I get along so well.
For sure. Maybe. Yeah. We, speaking of the dog beaches, so Long Beach has a dog beach called Rosie's Beach. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And we took the dogs there at one point, had them in a hotel, and I'll never forget, we put them upstairs in the hotel room, ran downstairs, got some other stuff. As we come back up, we hear dogs barking in the hallway. Duke figured out how to open the door from the hotel room into the hallway. So we had like 4 days there. Every time that we left, we had to like barricade off the hall that went to the door to get out of the hotel room. We had to tape the handle with a bunch of like duct tape all around it so that he wouldn't hit that handle and get out. So like we want to take them everywhere we can, but they turn into little humans and they're super smart and have learned how to break free every single time.
That's how I feel with our puppy. It's like you've seen the original Jurassic Park with the velociraptors.
Yeah, yep.
And it's like, that the velociraptor keeper was like, they never touch the wire in the same spot. Like, and then there's like with the part where like, unless they can open doors, and then they show them opening doors.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was like.
All right. Well, let's get into Repurpose House. So let's hear all about this. So you and I met actually at a Russ Perry event from Design Pickle. I know he's inspired and advised you along your journey, just like he's advised me. So we have fairly similar business models, but you are obviously doing video. So give us a story. How did you come up with this idea for Repurpose House?
Yeah. So actually, Russ is a bigger part of that than just like, a little bit of a mentorship. I have a background in video production for digital marketing. So I have a company called Wake Brand Media. That's all that it did. I went to the Philippines with Russ and Design Pickle for their second annual employee event. As I filmed it. So I was doing all the behind the scenes filming. My main goal was to capture as much footage of the team because he was having trouble hiring as fast as he needed to.
His team in the Philippines.
Yes. Yeah. So there were like 85 employees in the Philippines at that point. I was capturing how amazing this event is. We were doing testimonial footage and stuff like that. So I was there with them. And at one point, Russ sat me down. We were grabbing coffee and he was like, listen, what you're doing isn't scalable. Like, I know that you're looking after something like that because video production, especially like that's very, very marketing savvy, it's tough to find other people to help manage it because you have to both have a marketing brain and a video brain. And a
Totally.
lot of the times that doesn't, those people aren't the same people. So
Yes.
I was actively involved in everything and I was dying and drowning. So
Was it
he and I,
just you at the time, or did you have any other people on your team?
so I had like videographers who would go. I had editors and stuff. Like, and from the very beginning, it was just me, and then it evolved into more people. But I had to be so personally involved in strategy and client relationships and stuff like that that I was like, "There's no way that I can manage more than what I'm already handling." And unless it was just, it was. I knew it wasn't what was going to be the thing that actually took off for me. And Russ sitting me down, being like, "This is not scalable. You need to figure something else out." Really, kind of got the ball rolling on, you know what, he's absolutely right. So having been to the Philippines, having met the people, like listening to their stories about how Design Pickle changed their lives in the sense that they have full-time jobs. They're not waiting on the next gig to come through. They spend time with their families. I was just sold on whatever I do, it's going to be Philippine based for sure.
Nice.
So, it had a couple iterations. Initially, we were just doing, video memes and repurposing podcasts only for podcasters. So I called it podcast memes. And it was the people who I would talk to were like high level podcasters and they were really excited about, just one thing, which was the repurposing. And initially I was doing like video podcasting and stuff like that. Um, what we found while we were promoting to podcasters was that there were two different types of people. One was going to be somebody who's like, we'll give you all of our money to do this. And the other one was, it's just completely out of budget. And at that point, it was like $200 a month to repurpose all of their stuff.
Who would say it's out of budget for $200 a month?
Well, exactly. That's where I was just like, what is happening? Because it's either one side or it's the absolute other. So Sarah and I kind of put our heads together because we were beating them against the wall trying to figure this out. And we realized that the common denominator on the people who thought it was a no-brainer was that they were using podcasting as an arm of their marketing strategy. They were not podcasters, they were marketers. So I was like, well, I know marketers. I just came from this whole, demographic. So we rebranded into Repurpose House and we started repurposing everything. So it wasn't just podcast or video, it was video, audio. We can also do text. So we turn like, snippets of blog posts into text motion videos for social. And then like, since then, actually you were a huge part, I don't know if you know this, of like us spearheading our growth and even finding out if it was something that was going to be well received, because you had told me like initially when you launched Jude that digital marketer was a big like traffic and conversion was one of the things that really kind of launched you guys. And so I bit the bullet and bought the sponsorship over there, which was a big investment for a new company that wasn't making money yet, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to spend the money. We're going to go and we'll at least know for sure if this is worth our, investment in time, money, and resources. And if it's well received, then we'll know that this is a thing that we're going to run with. And it was bonkers. Like traffic and conversion was bonkers for us. Like to the point where I got a DM from Roland Frazier, who's one of the digital marketer founders. He's like, who are you? Because people on social keep talking about you after the conference. And I was like, is this the world I'm living in now? Roland Frazier is hitting me up personally. So since then, it's been just crazy town.
And he's one of your clients as well.
Yeah,
right?
He's our client. Digital Marketer is a client. War Room, they run all their stuff through us. So yeah, we've had some pretty amazing relationships built just because of that conference.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I'm so happy that we connected and I was able to tell you about.
Yes, thank you so much.
The event. Well, I mean, that goes to prove the power of just one connection or like one event. Like oftentimes we'll overthink things and think, oh man, well, like, my goal is so far away, and it's really just taking the risk sometimes, putting it out there, and good things can happen.
It's true. I mean, I can't, to land a digital marketer as a client, like 6 months after we launched was unfathomable. Like I was like, in maybe 3 years, we'll be able to make that connection even. And for them to be on our homepage at like 5 months in was just like, I couldn't have even imagined it. But yeah, all due to like these random series of events and taking the risk.
Well, I mean, you're obviously doing things right because our community of agency people, it's pretty small. Yeah. And so if word's traveling that fast, you must be doing a lot of things that other people have not figured out how to do. What would you say are some of the discoveries that you've made as a video repurposing agency or white label partner, or however you classify yourself, what are some of the things that you've invented that have helped you to succeed where other people have failed?
There's a couple of things. So just on like the most, easy to pick piece, it's knowing every single asset that people can really utilize in their social media that can come out of an existing piece of content.
Hmm.
There are other companies who will like create a video meme out of video or out of audio, and that's it. But we took it a step further and we're like, here's the deal. You can give me a video. I can take 1 2 minute piece out of it, give it to you in all of the sizes. We're also giving you image quotes, also the thumbnails for Facebook ads if you run them, for YouTube, IGTV thumbnails, like making sure that everything we deliver is everything that a really savvy digital marketer would need to use. So it's a one-stop shop scenario. I think that really set us apart because I don't know of any agency currently who's doing all of the things. You have to kind of plug and play a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
But on the other side, like more internally, I think that creating really clean systems and processes from the very beginning is something that hugely contributed to this being successful. And that was one thing that Russ really pushed hard. He was
Hmm.
like, do not do the work of whatever it is your company is doing from the very beginning, because you'll get stuck in that same mentality of not being able to scale. So
Right.
everything we started with from the beginning is like a ton of automation, really great systems and processes with our staff, and just making sure everything's super smooth internally so that the client experience ends up being smooth as well, because they'll know if it's something's wonky.
Yeah, totally. Now, is your team mainly still based in the Philippines?
Yeah, we've got, I think, 22 in the Philippines right now, full
Awesome.
time. Sarah is local in Arizona. She's my director of ops, and
Mhm.
we're bringing on a sales and marketing director, US based, at the end of next week, or
Wow.
middle of February.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Well, that's
thank you.
exciting. So like my challenge that I had as an agency owner was the time zone between us and the Philippines.
Sure.
And even now with Dude, we still have a few people in the Philippines. I don't exactly know how many. It's like
Yeah.
between 4 and 6. But how do you overcome that challenge, with the communication in the time zone?
Yeah, great question. So we are very much a design pickle model where you submit your stuff by 5 and you get it back
Mhm.
by 8 a.m. So that in itself worked. Initially, when we first started, it was tough because Sarah and I would be up all night having panic attacks, hoping that the
Yeah,
team was producing, right?
right.
One thing that we did, our first 2 employees who celebrated their 1 year anniversary, like a month or 2 months ago, was pretty cool. They ended up becoming like the ops directors overseas. So one is our
Mm.
training manager. One, it manages all of the operations. We're giving her more and more of Sarah's responsibilities, but allowing ourselves to let go of the things that we knew we couldn't manage in real time on their end was difficult initially. But like we use a software called Flowster where it has step by step by step by step trainings on absolutely everything that we needed them to learn and do, and that made a huge difference in being able to like pass the torch
Yeah.
on things that needed to happen for them in real time. One thing that we also made sure we do is we let the client know the expectations from the very, very beginning. Like when you submit something, you're not going to hear back from anybody until 5 p.m. But if you
Gotcha.
have something that needs attention, like here's the email address to send it to so you can get some information in real time. You won't get assets, but you can get answers. And so rarely does anybody even utilize it, much less than I anticipated. So I think setting expectations from the get-go, for clients especially, they all know they're Filipino based, they know that they start their work at 8 a.m. their time,
Right.
um, has been really helpful too.
That's great. So, in terms of like your client onboarding process, what does that look like?
Yeah, so we went through a couple different versions of it. We initially did a live onboarding with every client. That
Hmm.
killed our bandwidth. Also, it was like clients weren't really able to start doing anything until they scheduled it, and it was just kind of a nightmare.
Mm.
So I read a case study about
Well, hold on one second. I want you to explain in further detail what that initial, one-on-one onboarding looked like, just so that we can
sure.
see exactly what wasn't working.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so if you signed up for Repurpose House, you sign up, your card gets charged, you get sent a series of automated emails. Obviously, like welcome to whatever, and then it's here's to fill out your type form to get your templates created.
Hmm.
But we couldn't actually start with their content until they scheduled a quote unquote onboarding call.
Yeah.
That was obviously based on somebody's schedule, which was not open 24/7. So
Hmm.
sometimes they weren't able to schedule it for like a week out. So now they're in our system for over a week, but they're not able to even get content yet. Um, So we did a lot of having to push back people's bill dates because we didn't want them to feel like they weren't utilizing time spent. But
Right.
then they would, they didn't eventually have the call with Sarah, whoever it was. And it was like a 30-minute onboarding call walking through A to Z of how to utilize everything that we offer. She would record the call and then she would send them the recording and they could share it with their team. So
Sounds very familiar.
yeah. So I was like, Sarah, I go, how much of every single call that you make is exactly the same? Give me a percentage. And she's like, 97.5% of the call is exactly the same. I'm like, great, we're going to automate it. So I had read a case study that from Thinkific, and was it Thinkific? It was somebody, but they were saying that they turned their onboarding into a course for clients instead of personalized. And they had initially thought that, nobody's going to want to do the course. Everybody wants the personal call, right? But they had so much more success with a course-based onboarding that they just made the transition completely, and it's been super successful for them. And I have to say, like, it's been really, really good for us. So we created a course. It's basically the call Sarah has, but it's modular. So it's from A to Z. You can see what topics you want to look at. Little video description, text description, links to all the things that you need in every single one. And any part of your team can get onboarded too. You can tell though when people didn't go through the course because they start submitting like crazy, and we're like, and the response from the team is, here's the link to the course because we know you haven't done it yet. And it's like 15 minutes. It shouldn't be, that ridiculous, but it's been really helpful in explaining things, because when people have questions about certain steps of our process, we can just link them to that section of the training and get them an answer pretty quickly without having to wait to get on calls or email correspondence and stuff like that.
Wow. So typically your clients now, how soon are they up and running and able to submit requests?
They can submit requests the day they sign up. So we also changed something where initially they would have to have their template sets completed before they could submit. And that was turning into the same kind of problem. Okay, if it took them a week to get their templates done, now we're pushing back, sign up dates.
Right.
So we created a generic type form for each plan where if their templates are being created, they can submit with generic designs that will then be just, colors and logos are swapped, and then they can still have content repurposed in the meantime. But also it pushes them to approve templates and get that process done a lot faster.
Gotcha. So what are some of the biggest obstacles that you guys are facing right now? Because you're obviously growing very quickly, something that I can relate to as well. It seems like there's always some new challenge that's sprouting up. What's on your horizon for the next 6 months?
So we just started with Facebook ads, Facebook and Instagram. We started them earlier this week, and it's been pretty cool to watch them learn and to see what's been happening. We actually got our first sale through Facebook today, so I'm pretty pumped.
Oh, awesome. Is the sales all done online? There's no human component?
Yeah, no human component. So it takes you to a landing page. They opt in with just their email address, and then it'll take you to the pricing where you can either schedule a call or purchase. We do a 7-day free trial now too. So that's more enticing to get people to hop in.
And your pricing is like unbelievable.
I know. Affordable. And hopefully that changes in 6 months. So we'll see how the ads start going. We just started utilizing a company to do lead generation lists for our cold email campaign. Our cold email campaign has been fire. Sarah actually sells it as a course now.
Wow.
That's been mostly a huge attribution to our growth.
So you'll buy a list and then you'll use a software or something to do cold email outreach, or is it people? Or?
It's a hybrid of both. So we bought a list. It's being generated. We're supposed to have it by Monday. But it has been like in Sarah prospecting people. So we know that they create the right kind of content. They have the right kind of team. But I mean, it is very personalized. So like in the subject line, it's like, have you thought of repurposing X, Y, or Z, their content? She has it's cool. She has one Loom video that she creates, but she duplicates it for every single client. And she does a screenshot as her thumbnail of her on their website. So it's her face, their website, but it's the same video that just sounds like it's personalized. And then the email copy, it's really cool. So, I mean, our return on that campaign has been nuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So those two things, like now having lists generated, because the prospecting took forever. Now that a lot of this is like automated, we can buy a list and actually manage it pretty quickly. The ads hopefully are going to be a really, really great thing. I think it's just been, raising awareness that we even exist. That's everybody's problem, right? If we have a good product, now it's just spreading the word. But with that, the other struggle is staffing, is making sure that we have the right team, because we hire based on culture fit first. I mean, you don't have to be the greatest graphic designer in the world to do what we do. You're literally taking templates and changing words, and we have quality control to help you. But like, we definitely hire based on culture. If you aren't going to fit that way, but you're a rock star graphic designer, we don't really care.
So you actually hire graphic designers and not necessarily, video experts. They don't have to know Adobe Premiere like inside and out.
No, we use DaVinci Resolve, and it's free, which is amazing. It does all the things that we need it to do. And I would rather they be a great graphic designer because they can learn how to cut an in and out point on video. Yeah. Like that's the easiest thing ever. That's the only video editing they really have to do. The more extensive one is going to be like text motion graphics from a blog post, but we have, some of our content hackers is what we call them. They have video editing experience. So we'll usually load them up with those types of clients consistently. And we haven't run into, our churn on employees is really, really low. And I really think that the hiring on culture fit and then our training program has been really helpful for that.
Oh, that's awesome. I think there's a lesson in there too. It's like, don't make things so super complicated. You're obviously getting clients, you're keeping the clients happy. You're keeping your staff too, which is awesome. Yeah. And, so you don't necessarily need the Steven Spielberg of video editing to do these, videos and still have it be a successful business.
Right. Yeah. And I don't want them, honestly, because the problem is with a lot of that comes ego. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's
totally.
Like one or two of the people that we did end up having to let go was a lot of that kind of stuff. They didn't want to be trained. They thought that they knew more than they did. If you're a rock star, that's awesome. But, we want really great team players. And if you're leading the group, then great, you can become a team lead at some point. But really, it's what's cool about our team is everybody's really excited to like see each other on our team meetings. And one of the feedbacks we get the most is like that they want to be able to physically see each other in person more often, which is pretty amazing. So, I think just making sure that you have good people as opposed to like the most rock star and whatever it is that you're doing is a huge benefit for us. And it should be for an agency in general.
Awesome. What is some of the, and we're almost out of time, but what's some of the best advice that you've gotten as you've been growing Repurpose House?
Oh, man. It definitely at the beginning was making sure that your systems and processes are really clean, because had we not done that from the very beginning, like I ran into some issues maybe like spring of this last year where I needed to step out of the business for like a couple months. And we took like a week and a half to make sure that everything that I did was not something that would break the business if I stepped outside of it. Right. So making sure that Repurpose House functions without me physically being present was such a huge, game changer, because now this thing can scale the way that it needs to. And we have everything documented so that any person can come or go and it can be taken over by another person if we need to hire them or if it's somebody internal. Making sure that everything's documented is a big, big part of it.
Systems and processes is one of those terms that everybody throws around, but I don't really feel like everybody has a handle on what it actually means. And to me, a system and a process is really just a checklist, right? It's just a database of different checklists that you can hand over to anybody and they'll be able to execute. What is your process for creating processes?
Yes. So like I said, we use a company called Flowster. We were using Trainual. Flowster is a lot easier, especially if you have a lot of team members that are remote, because you can assign flows. So like it's like maybe this one flow, quote unquote, has 12 steps, and that is to create a video meme, right? You can assign that to anybody as many times as you need to and watch them in real time, check them off. But also within each step, it shows you exactly what to do. Like we've created like the same thing as like the training, basically. Yeah. We show a video and we have an explanation, and they don't necessarily have to open it up every time and read it because they get it after, they're trained. Yeah. But breaking everything down step by step by step is the best way to do it. It's kind of like, remember when we were all in like 5th grade or whatever, and you do that game where you have to make the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but somebody else has to explain to you every single thing to do, like hold the knife in your right hand. That is our one of our interview tests for project managers here.
You make them
it's
do
smart.
the peanut butter and jelly sandwich test.
Yes, and that's exactly how it has to be, because you can't assume every single step is going to make sense, or is just going to be an obvious thing. So like we make sure that we dumb it down as much as we can, because everybody's not in our head, and for some things are or aren't as obvious as others.
Totally. All right. Well, this has been great. We're out of time.
Yeah, thanks.
What's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
Yeah. So, I mean, Repurpose House is Repurpose House Co. across all of the social media channels. We've got the whole first free week landing page. Is basically Repurpose House /free-week. Go check that out. We have 3 different plans. So that's super simple.
They're really easy to understand too. That's one thing that I'm envious about is it's like, okay, this is what I get with this one. This is what I get with this one. This is what like with what we do with design and development, it's been a challenge to be able to figure that out. So congratulations on making it so simple.
Thanks. It took a hot minute, I'm being honest with you, but now I feel like we're in a pretty clean place at the moment. But yeah, I mean, we've got plans for literally any variation of content that you need. But yeah, and for me, I'm just Shaina Weisinger all over the place, wherever you want to find me. So
nice. And who would be the perfect person to reach out to you today?
Oh gosh. You know what? Some of my favorite clients are agencies who utilize us as a white label solution. So we have a couple different ways people do that. Is they'll either load in a bunch of clients into our influencer plan and they make money on it, which is super cool. Or we have other agencies who have their clients buy subscriptions to us, and then they just manage their content within it. So I heart agencies. I've been, in agency life forever with video production. So, more of those people, the better, because they're awesome.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, thanks so much for being on our show today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
I'll probably see you at TNC. I'm assuming you're going out there again.
I sure am. We've got a booth this year, so we'll see you over there.
Sweet. Well, thank you, Shaina. And then to all of our listeners, thank you all for being on today. And make sure that you return next Thursday and every Thursday for the next episode of Operation Agency Freedom. Bye.